Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Crypto Insider channel. It's December 17th, 2019. How about that price action? I know everybody's going to want to know more about price. Price is always the biggest factor in these YouTube videos and in the XRP Twitter sphere. Um, I know just about everyone is tired of buying opportunities, to put that in quotes, but please take a minute to subscribe, like the videos, and we'll jump right into it. I only have a few things I want to talk about today. One of them is price. One is some chart analysis from DIY investing. I'm going to analyze his chart analysis. Um, but anyway, I don't know if you're familiar. He has a YouTube channel and a Twitter, DIY investing. He's very bullish on XRP and some other cryptos that I'm in. So I always, you know, when the price action gets dark, it's always good to take a look at his videos and then and then maybe give yourself a little bit of a boost. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is a tweet that I see, or actually, we'll just look at the price a little bit just to start. Let me refresh here. I'm at coinalyze.net. Okay, we're at 0.194, so we're definitely down. We're down about 2.5, 3 cents from last week. So there are 7 days. So we're definitely in that bearish trend or the sell-off that the whole market's experiencing, not just XRP. So it's not a problem inherently with the coin, the company Ripple, the platform, the technology. As goes Bitcoin, so does XRP, and just about every other cryptocurrency. Um, And a lot of people are sharing ODL statistics. ODL stands for on-demand liquidity. It's the Ripple solution to transfer money to do cross-border payments, remittances. And long story short, it's supposed to be a competitor to Swift and replace the need to have pre-funded Nostro accounts, uh, which basically results in dead capital, dead money. The old way of transferring money is very slow and clunky compared to Ripple or compared to ODL. But a lot of people think, the more transactions there are on ODL, the price should be thusly affected, and that's not necessarily um, true. I mean, it is to a point. Uh, But as we'll see from this tweet, I don't know who XRP Crow is at status, but I've seen it floating around from a lot of people. Um, the CEO of MoneyGram, Alex Holmes, because of the new regulation, any XRP that we receive, we tend to sell about as real time as possible, and that makes sense. We do not hold for any period of time any crypto assets on our books. And I thought this was a known. I'm surprised that this is surprising to people. Um, but I guess when we think of it, if you're watching this video, chances are you're in the speculative market, meaning you're buying and you're holding, and you want to make money off of position trading. You may be calling it investing. I may have called it investing a few times, but really it's position trading or um, currency trading. Um, So what that means is the institutions, they're not in it for the same reason. They're not buying XRP to hold it and watch it appreciate in value. If it does, great. If it doesn't, it doesn't. They're buying it, selling it almost instantly. Um, and the reason they do that is because part of the ODL solution is to reduce volatility uh, in that space. And so um, well, it's just because of the new regulation, that too, because of regulations, they don't want to be realizing huge gains or losses on holding positions of XRP without having that regulatory structure in place. But Also, it's good to sell the XRP from exchange to exchange as quickly as possible, and that'll reduce the volatility. So the price of XRP in 4 or 5, 10 seconds it takes for one of these transactions isn't going to move enough to make it as volatile as fiat. You know, if you're taking 5 days and you're working with Mexican pesos, um, if you work in that space, you'll know that just about every day the exchange rate's a little different, and over 5 days you can lose a lot of money. You can end up completely upside down on a money transfer or a remittance transaction, which hence the fees. So doing it in 5 or 10 seconds with XRP gets rid of the need to hold capital in pre-funded accounts, and it reduces the volatility of cross-border remittances. But I thought everybody knew that these institutions were selling as quickly as possible. They're not holding and speculating on the price of XRP. They're not in it for the for that reason. I mean, like I said, if it happens, great. But right now, that's not what they're doing. And so the law, as I said in one of my earlier videos, there's so much supply, and all the good news, all the swell conferences, all the companies signing up, there is no amount of good news that is going to trump the laws of supply and demand. If there is so much supply, um, if it's just everywhere, it's going to be cheap. And it works that way with anything. Uh, but, but the reason why I say that is because these institutions are not limiting supply. They're using this XRP for 5 or 10 seconds, and then it's going back on an exchange, and then the exchanges are trading it with each other. And the only deflationary part of it is the little tiny burn rate that happens with an XRP transaction. So they're really not taking any supply off the market. They're not holding. The speculative market, I would say, takes way more supply out of the equation than does ODL solution from Ripple. And what we're going to need to see, and I've also said this in earlier videos, what we're going to need to see is the institutions competing for XRP on the exchanges, and that's already probably begun a little bit now that Ripple's suspending over-the-counter sales, where they're not selling their private stash of XRP to institutions, meaning MoneyGram now has to go to an exchange and get it. Bank of America, MUFG, SBI, any of these places have to go and get their XRP from an exchange. The more that happens, the more they're competing for XRP, along with the speculative market. The more chance we have for it to push the price. So I just wanted to say, ODL, yeah, it's nice to see it climbing and it's breaking new records. All the corridors are opening up, and it seems like almost every day we have a new record with transactions, and I do like to watch it. Alex Cobb has a great ODL video that's live stream of all the transactions for the previous day. It's a rolling 24 hours. And there's a little chat room. You can see how the solution is ramping up, and how lots of XRP is being used, and how those records are broken every day. But as far as it being a major price impactor, I don't see that happening just yet. I think Bitcoin and the speculative market is affecting the price of XRP way more than ODL is. So, getting into speculation, let's go to DIY's video on the XRP chart analysis. Uh, I'm I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a certified financial planner. Do your own research, make your own decisions, suffer your own consequences. All those disclaimers apply. What he's showing you here, and I'm not actually going to play the audio, but this is where we are right in here, uh, and this is his prediction, or one possible prediction. Uh, Really, what any chart analysis is ever going to be able to show you is a possibility. It's not necessarily a probability; it's a possibility. But the reason he thinks we're there is because looking at previous cycles, chart analysis is also very historical looking, meaning we can only look at the past, we can't look at the future. We can see what it's done before multiple times. We can see the cycles and the time frames it's done it in, and base some predictions off that, or probabilities off that. And that's what any chart analysis does. And I think DIY investing is a bit bullish, maybe a bit too bullish on some cryptocurrencies, but that's just my opinion. Uh, but to get into it, here he's showing leading up to the big run up in 2017. So you have your bearish trend, and you have support being tested and rejected. Comes down here to what you can call dead cat, or you call it the dead cat bounce, or retracement, and then it continues down um, until it breaks out of the support. The bull run starts, and you have this sort of exponential uh, growth, this exponential price uh, discovery. And so you have this all the way up to 2018 and through 2019. So we've been in this bearish downtrend for a long time. And here you can see we're doing the same thing as we were over here before the 2017 run. We're testing support, dropping, testing support, dropping, testing support, dropping. We have a little bit of a breakout. The trend's still continuing downward, but if this pattern follows this pattern, and it looks very similar, I have to agree with him there. It does look very similar. It means we are on the verge of a breakout. We've already broken through the support of this downward trend, and we're just correcting a little bit, and we're going to bump up. And now I don't know if these are necessarily what he was predicting over here. This looks to be around $28 is one of his predictions. But it's one of his possibilities. But these factors are only looking at historical trends. It could be more than $28. Maybe the adoption, the utility of it, the ODL, that all that stuff is not necessarily factored in to these charts. Remember, those solutions only started really picking up steam in the last 4 or 5 months. So, $28. It could be $56. Could be double that. It might be slower. I know we're seeing with things like Bitcoin, uh, we don't necessarily have jumps that are as huge as they used to be when the market was brand new. We tend to have a more steady, slow period, buller periods, and then it backs off. Um, So that might happen here too. So, maybe instead of $28, it's $9, um, which would still be uh, very good news to most crypto uh, uh, enthusiasts, and especially the XRP community and hodlers. um, I can't remember who put this up there. I wanted to give it a bit of attention though, and I apologize for not giving this Twitter person the proper credit. But he's saying to beware of analysts, or to beware of members of the XRP community that are basically creating their own echo chamber, meaning they gain a following and then they have a bunch of people parroting back to them what they're saying, and it doesn't always reflect with reality. They sort of create their own worlds and own bubbles, and maybe living in a fantasy. Um, I can see that, and I can see that happening because I do watch a few different folks around the web, and sometimes it's just completely random. I'll click on an XRP video just to get somebody else's take. Um, but but we have a lot of people. We have a lot of well-known institutions. I would say that would apply if for something like EOS, or some of these other altcoins, um, Tezos, which I also own Tezos, and have done well on Tezos actually over the past few months. But I can see that applying there, and maybe a little bit in the XRP community. We've been here long enough that a lot of these personalities can get lots of followers and subscribers, and they can start making money off that, meaning they accept donations and they sell merchandise, and all that's fine. I don't really have a problem with that. But it can put them in a position where they want to keep selling merchandise and getting donations, regardless of what the news is. But they can tend to want to make news seem better because people are more happy to donate and buy your merchandise if they feel validated, if they feel like you're validating their investment choices and making them feel like a smart, good person that's made a good decision. And so you may have a tendency to want to give in to that and play to that just to support uh, your own way of life, your own lifestyle, and it may be a little bit disingenuous. And I'm not saying anyone's out there doing that. I'm saying the potential is there. Um, so just take what you hear from YouTube personalities and me and the Twitter sphere with a grain of salt. And as always, do your own research. Don't take my word for it. Don't take do do it yourself investing or DIY investing's word for it, or any other person in the Twitter sphere. Watch the trends, because that's really all we can do from an analyst perspective, is watch the trends to make your current predictions, and don't invest more than you can afford to lose. You may be one of these people that has chunks of money to put into the dips, and if so, you're in yet another XRP buying opportunity, and you can really load up right now. Um, if you're like me, I do dollar cost averaging, meaning I buy pretty much set fiat amounts of cryptocurrency every couple weeks. Sometimes if I see a dip, I'll jump in and I'll throw a little bit more in the bag. Which would be a really great time to do that. This 19-cent low, 19.195 cents. I don't know when is the last time we saw this price. I could look into that, but it hasn't been for a while. And we know that these institutions are using XRP. There is utility there. It's it's I think we're spring loaded like a coil, or I think I heard someone else call it a slingshot. Um, if you believe that it has utility and it can't go to zero, then something has to happen soon. But as for where we're at now, I think Bitcoin has a lot more to do with it than XRP or its utility. Um, in any case, there's a little bit about price. Check out DIY investing. He says that he's very good with people copying and using his analysis. I'm kind of doing an analysis of his analysis for people on my channel. But he says he's good with copying it, but I'm like to give people the credit. He did all this work and he understands these charts a lot better than I do, even if he is a little more bullish than I think he should be. It's still a very interesting take, and I like the similarities that he points out and the ease at which he can explain it. And hats off to XRP Crow at Status at Twitter for posting the screenshot of the CNN interview and letting me use that to explain why I think some people put a little too much faith in ODL right now because there's only so many institutions and so many corridors using it. I mean, once it really explodes and people are competing all the time for XRP for these transfers, yes, I think you'll see it affect price a lot more. But Bitcoin's really uh, the bellwether now of where all the other cryptocurrencies go. All right, that's all I have for today. Subscribe, like the videos. We will continue putting out content, and yeah, so have a happy, what is it, Tuesday? Happy Tuesday. I'm off to drink some coffee.